Alright, in today's video we're gonna go outside and we're gonna try out a bunch of different lenses to see what kind of lenses does the Catalyst Browse sport. Like with a lot of features on the A7IV, like the focus mapping and the focus breathing compensation, you need certain lenses for them to work. So we're gonna use Catalyst Browse today, which pretty much allows you to turn your regular handheld footage to look like gimbal footage. Like, I'm not even like, this isn't like a sales pitch or whatever. It actually does. It's a pretty amazing software, but from what I can tell, it's not compatible with every single lens. So we're going to try some different lenses and see how the results turn out. So obviously the first lens we're going to use is the Tamron 17 to 28mm, which is just an ultra wide, you know, native Sony lens. So this one will work. I already tried it before and used it and it works perfectly fine. So we're going to just show that off. First of all, just see how it looks compared to other lenses, and then we're going to try out another Sony lens that is a native Sony lens, but this lens right here, the Samyang 14mm f2.8 lens, doesn't have any electronical connections. If you look at the back of it, right here, it's just, you know, it's just a bare mount. So when you put this on the camera, it doesn't even think that you have a lens mounted. So we're gonna see if with this lens right here, if you can still use Catalyst Browse with it. After that, we're gonna try adapting some lenses. First, we're gonna try to adapt a vintage lens like this Helios 44-2, which is a 50mm f2 USSR old Russian lens. We're gonna see if we use some vintage lenses, if we can adapt those onto the camera and get some, you know, smooth footage out of the camera with these. And then we're gonna use the MC11 adapter, which is my favorite adapter of all time, which is a Canon EF to Sony adapter that allows you to use pretty much any Canon EF lens onto Sony. But if you use certain Sigma lenses, you actually get like native like performance. So to get the native performance, we're gonna use this lens right here, which is the Sigma 150 to 600mm lens. This is an amazing lens that I love. It's kind of, I wish I had like a wider lens to use for this test, but unfortunately I don't have any. It's like the only Sigma Canon lens I do own. So that's the lens we're going to use for that. And then we're going to try out a Canon EF native lens, which is this one right here. Just the Canon 75 to 300mm lens. What's the aperture range? It's an f4 to 5.6. So we're going to see if we can use Catalyst Browse with this also. So now let's go outside and try this out. Alright, so first off we got the Tamron 17-28mm, and we're actually using the internal microphones of this camera. Because when I made the last video where I shot outside in the rain, the internal microphones of this camera actually sounds pretty damn good. Like, I'm actually surprised. I actually might make a separate video where I'm comparing like the internal microphones with this camera with like using like a shotgun mic from like Rode or something. So that might be interesting to do. Oh, look at that, we got some kitties over here. Little cutie pies right over there. But yeah, we're right now in the Antarctic Ocean right now. Definitely not in New York. And this is just a, you know, stabilization test. Right now it's just on the standard stabilization. And now we're gonna switch over to Catalyst Browse. Now let's see how the stabilization works. It's probably a lot smoother. The Catalyst Browse is like a pretty amazing software, honestly. It's pretty crazy. So this is what the stabilization is like with the Catalyst Browse. Obviously it's working with the Tamron, but when we switch over to the Rokinon or Samyang lens, I'm gonna switch the stabilization mode from standard to active, just so, because I feel like it's not gonna work with the Samyang lens. So I just want there to be like a little bit more stabilization on the clip. Maybe I'll just switch like between the clips. So right now let's switch over to the Samyang lens and let's see if Catalyst Browse works with that one also. Alright, now we're on the Rokinon lens, and this is just with the standard stabilization of the camera. Oh my god, I think you can see my hand. Jesus Christ. But yeah, if we go wide, this is a wide ass lens. The only problem with this lens is that this is a manual focus only one. They do have an autofocusing one, but I bought this like a while back, way before they like made that manual focusing one, so before they made the autofocusing one. So this is the one I have, and I actually don't like this lens because it's just very soft, and it's like really hard to focus with this lens because it's just so wide. It's like impossible to tell, and like the lens itself is also very soft, so I don't know, it's hard. So now let's switch over to active mode. Alright, now we're in active stabilization. So, I don't know. I really can't see the screen right now because it's just too bright outside. But, oh my god, here, I'm gonna actually close down the aperture a little bit. Let's put this to like F4. Right here. Is that good? Yeah, there we go. Also, if you guys are enjoying these daily A7IV videos, make sure to leave a like on the video. It helps a lot. This year, our goal is to beat Peter McKinnon. Alright, we gotta beat Peter McKinnon on subscribers and following, and then every other, you know, film YouTuber is gonna stop making coffee in their videos. So hopefully we can reach that goal this year. I'll give it a couple of months. I think we should be able to do it. Alright, I'm cutting the video right here because Rokinon obviously did not work with the camera, and most of the lenses did not really work. Now, first of all, the native Sony lenses that have electronic connections on it, like any of the, you know, Tamron lenses that are made for Sony that have, you know, all the electronic connections on them, they work perfectly fine with it. But when you have any lens that doesn't have an electronic connection, like the Rokinon or /Samyang lens, and the vintage lens we used, then those lenses you cannot stabilize in catalyst browse. And as you can see right here, you know, you don't get the icon to stabilize it. So, you know, like if we look at the Rokinon
now
footage,
we're back to steady stabilization on the Rokinon.
so as you can see, Rokinon doesn't work with it, but you can still use the active stabilization of the camera, and that works pretty well. And to be honest, like, if I like the Rokinon lens, I would use it with the active stabilization, and it works like really good actually. Like compared to the older Sony cameras, the stabilization does seem a lot better. But now if we try to adapt the Canon lenses, that's where it gets a little complicated. Like right now, here's the Canon 75mm footage right here, and this is before I stabilized it. This is what it looks like, but we do have the stabilization icon on it. So if we right click and click stabilize clip, it gives us a warning saying that this clip does not contain the lens metadata, which can result in incorrect stabilization. Do you want to continue? And you say continue, and it still works, and it works decently well. Like you can see, it's a little bit jittery, but let me just turn off this audio. As you can see, it's a little bit jittery, but it does work. Like the footage does seem a lot smoother to use. So this is kind of a pass in my eye. Apparently, you can use Canon EF lenses through the MC11 adapter and get enough metadata that you can use catalyst browse on it. But now this is where it gets interesting, because we also use the Sigma 150-600mm, which is supposed to work like a native lens on the A7IV. And as you can see, only one out of the 3 clips actually has the stabilization icon. And this is just with the standard stabilization, but this is with the active stabilization. So if you turn on the active stabilization, you can add stabilization in post. So it's a little weird. And when we try to stabilize the clip, it doesn't give us the warning, so it does have enough metadata. And when we look at the footage, I guess it's a little bit smoother, but if we just crop in a little bit more, maybe it'll be smoother, but like, it still seems very jittery. So if you have like a insane like 600mm lens or something that you're adapting, that doesn't seem to really stabilize properly, so I wouldn't recommend that. I wish I had like a wider Sigma lens that I could use. Maybe that's another test I'll do in the future. But it does seem to it doesn't seem to work with the 150-600mm. But again, if you had like the 24-70 Sigma or something, that might work with it. But yeah, but when it comes to the vintage lens, it doesn't work at all. So you can't use catalyst browse on any vintage lens. Pretty much you can't use catalyst browse if there's no electronic connection. When it's an adapter lens, it gets a little bit complicated, but yeah. Also, I'm shooting this with the internal microphones of the camera, and it sounds pretty damn good. Like I'm like listening to the clips, and I'm like, oh wow. So I'm definitely gonna be doing a video in the future where I'm gonna compare the internal microphones of this camera compared to like a shotgun mic that you can put on the camera. So before I end the video, I do want to talk about my experience using the catalyst browse, because catalyst browse is a pain in the ass to use. Like I get why like everyone complains about it and no one really uses it, even though it is a really good software that allows you to pretty much, you know, turn your footage into gimbal-like footage. But honestly, I wouldn't use it unless if I like was working on some professional project where I didn't feel like using a gimbal and I had in mind that I was gonna use callus browse. But like when you stabilize a clip on it and you want to export it, this one like said I had to use 49%. You have to first of all adjust and like try to find like the sweet spot of how much you want to crop into your video to have a nice smooth footage. Like it's good right here, and then you click this icon right here, and then you can export your footage. You pick wherever you wanted to export it out, and these are the settings I use to get the best image quality. Because if you change this format to it's on MP4 by default, if you do any of the other codecs, from what I can tell, it compresses the video files and the footage goes from 10-bit to 8-bit. So this is the best settings to use if you want to use this software. You want to change the render presets and the frame rate. You know, you want to make sure these all are set up like this so that you get the best image quality, and then you can export it. And the exporting times are pretty ridiculous. Like it'll take like at least like for like a short clip, like a 5-10 minute clip, it'll take at least like 10 minutes to export it. It's gonna depend on your computer, but my computer is like decent and it still takes a while. So anyways guys, thanks for watching this video. Hope it was useful. I'm making videos about the A7IV every single day, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video. It helps a lot to help grow this channel. If you have any questions about the camera, make sure to let me know in the comment section below. I try to respond to every single comment, and if it's an interesting question, then I might make a video about it. But anyways guys, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.